All right, we are live. Take us away.
All right. We're going to be talking about AI agents today, not just AI, but AI agents. But what I want to do is I want to break this down for business leaders and founders. T.D. Jakes said one of my favorite quotes. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let me pull up my slides here. But he had one of my favorite quotes. And he said, nobody should be able to play the hand you're dealt better than you. And there's so much in life that we just don't get a say in. We don't get to pick our parents. We don't all get to have Tina. We don't all get to pick where we live. And even as adults, there's so much that happens to us that's at the consequences of someone else's actions. But could someone else step in and play those cards better than you? And you want to be the best at playing those cards. Well, when it comes to business, the question is, could someone run your business or do your job better than you? And unfortunately, as we all sit here and think about that, the answer is normally yes. It's like, yeah, unfortunately, there's probably hundreds of people that could step in and do a better job at my business than me. But we don't want that. Right? How can we become that person? And what makes that person better than us? Their experience, the way they make decisions, the how they see the board. They tend to see things differently. Their mindset's different. But that's where we want to have an AI agent come in and help us see things better. So we just kind of talked about playing your hand. There's a lot that we don't have choices on, but if we had somebody sitting on our shoulder that could see things better than us, and that was the filter we made decisions through, we would do a better job. And let's talk about AI for just a second. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Some people are afraid of AI, what it may do to the economy. I will say this. Every single person on this call, every single person watching the recording, we all come from a long lineage of people whose jobs were automated. All of us. And every single time the economy got stronger. And ideally, it may have eliminated one job, but it was a net positive effect. It created more jobs. And so we need to be in a position where we can see around corners. So Kurt was talking about meeting Brendan. Brendan's our 20-year-old. And when we first moved to the Woodlands, we had gone, we were going to car shows. Brendan has been crazy about cars since he was little, like 9 and 10. And not just, lining up his Hot Wheels, but even, he's a teenager, especially in the Woodlands. He'd be like, Dad, listen. And you'd hear an exhaust of a car. And he'd be like, that's going to be a Huracan. And sure enough, here comes a Lamborghini Huracan. He knew from the exhaust. Or, we'll see a car and he's like, Dad, did you know that those are naturally aspirated V12s? I don't know what naturally aspirated means. I have no idea. Yeah. But he's so into cars. And there's such a great car scene here in the Woodlands. Well, we were down at Market Street one morning for one of the car shows. And Brendan is just in his element. I mean, he just loves all these cars. And my wife calls and she's like, hey, how are things going? I said, this is great. And, I love seeing him just light up around all these cars. Telling me all the stuff that he knows about him, which was just unbelievable. And my wife says, we're in a position to get a car that we could put in some of these car shows. Why don't we do that? We only have him for a couple more years before he's going to be an adult and possibly move in. Let's make these next few years about him. I was like, woman, say less. Which this is why we've been married 30 years, because she is amazing. Yeah. And so we went out and we got a sports car that we could bring to these shows. And so we started doing these car things together. We started doing some car rallies together. Now, I don't know if anybody in here, if you're into cars, there is a difference between a car rally and a car cruise. So for Christmas one year, we signed up, like one of his gifts was us doing this rally. And then they're fairly, it's 4 figures to to do this rally. So that was one of his gift. Well, that was actually his big Christmas gift that year. But it wasn't going to be until the first weekend in April. This was April, I think, 2023. May have been, no, it was April 2024. So we meet up in Dallas, and there's all these high-end cars. There's probably about 25 of us, give or take. Porsches, Lambos, all kinds of things. And actually, by then, my wife had got a nice car too. She has an Audi RSQ8, which is the Lamborghini Urus. It's just the Audi version, same engine, everything. So like almost 600 horsepower. It's great. It's just way more comfortable to do these rallies in. Well, we were doing a 2-day rally going down, and I'm tying all this into business, so just hang with me. We're doing this rally, and it's a 2-day rally. We're going to drive down to Central Texas in Hill Country. We're doing a drive called Twisted Sisters. And most of it's all back roads. Well, whenever we first leave, we're on the interstate. And when we go on the interstate, everybody just opens up. And if any law enforcement's listening, this is totally hypothetical. I was hypothetically doing like 135 in my wife's car. And I'm so uncomfortable. I was just uncomfortable. Growing up, my dad was chief police in our town. And like, you just don't do this, you know? Well, and then 2 of the Lambos come flying past me. They were pushing almost 200, just crazy. And I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like this. This is way too fast. And then we would stop at a convenience store, a big gas station. Everybody would, catch up, and then we'd go to the next part of the drive. And so it wasn't like a cruise where everybody's staying together. We'd get on the road, and it was just people were flying. And I didn't like it. Some parts of it were fun, but some it was stressing me out. And then when we get to Twisted Sister, we're driving, and some of these cars, like there was this Toyota Supra that was passing somebody on a blind corner. Like it was solid line, and they're passing. And I'm like, what are they doing? This is so dangerous. I'm not happy about this at all. I'm like, Brendan, that's it. I know we're doing this for you, but I'm not enjoying this part. Like, this just isn't worth it. So, and then some of the parts were fun, and some were just crazy intense like that. Well, at the end of the event, we have this dinner. Everybody's together. And there's an older man, probably mid-60s, drove a Porsche 911. He's like, hey, I want to thank you guys for coming. Some of you guys, this was your first rally to do. But on the group, we had recommended everybody get some of these walkies. Some of you guys thought we were driving crazy, but we're communicating the whole time. Hey, you're good. You can pass, whatever. And so I was like, oh, okay. This actually makes me feel a little bit better, but still not 100% better, right? It was still kind of dangerous. Mm-hmm. So fast forward to the next Monday. The group of guys, we used to do these calls every Monday, and all very successful Christian entrepreneurs. And we're doing this call, and I'm still coming off this weekend. My emotions are high, still processing it. It's like a movie. You're like, that movie was so intense. I don't know if I liked it or not. Let me think about it to let you know. That's kind of how this weekend was. So there's some parts I liked, some parts I didn't. Well, the buddy of mine that was leading the call, is a guy named Steven Diaz, just phenomenal human being. He's like, you know what I think God's wanting to do? I think God wants us, we're just going to ask him to raise us 30,000 feet over our business. And let's have God show us what he sees in our business. Let's just take a few minutes and do that. And so I'm, trying to be in this heart posture of prayer. And I'm like, all right, God, what do you see? But I'm still thinking about this event. And God will speak to you in your language. He speaks to you in what's relevant and stuff to you. And he said, Billy, you were uncomfortable doing 135 in that car. He goes, but the vehicle you're in was designed to go faster than what you're comfortable driving it. And this is in reference to business, right? He's like, that vehicle was designed for that. So what is it made for? You're just not comfortable pushing. You need to start thinking bigger. And he said, oh, and on your corners, I can see it right in your corners. I just need you to communicate with me. And it totally changed my perspective on that event. Now, all of a sudden, even though I was so emotional, up and down on this car rally, that was life-changing for me. That God can see around my corners. He just wants me to communicate with him. And tying that into AI, guys, this is coming. Whether you know it or not, in the next 2 years, you will know somebody that has a robot in their house. And it's probably going to be me. I've been planting the seeds with my wife. Tesla quit making their Model X and their Model S to start doing robots, to manufacture robots. There's all these companies right now manufacturing robots. What do you think AI was for? Right? We're going to start putting it in robots. And some of these robots, they're planning on them being priced around $20,000 to $30,000, or you can lease them for $300 to $400 a month. What if you could have a robot cook a Michelin star meal for you every night of the week?
Oh, let's go.
Right?
Yes.
It can order food from HEB. It's going to unpack it. It can cook. What about taking care of your elderly parents? How much better is that going to be than putting them in a home? Right? There's so many things. This is going to happen. And so many people, they're just not even thinking about it. I remember when I was a kid, I was born in 75. I think it was Rocky 3, where it starts off and now he's got money and he had a robot, bringing food to the table. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, he is so rich. Well, that's going to happen. We have this whole new thing. And we, as business owners, we have to be prepared. What do our clients need? How are they going to be served in the future? Where does AI fit in? And how can I see around corners? And I think we can use AI agents to help us see around corners. So let me go back to sharing my screen here. All right, so we were talking about nobody should be able to play the hand that you're dealt better than you. Now, you're probably thinking, is this just another chatbot? We started using chatbots for all of our marketing, for a lot of our marketing about almost 2 years ago now, about 20 months ago. And it's been incredible, like answering customer support, following up with leads, getting them to book calls. We do reactivation campaigns for one of our businesses using our AI chatbots, and it's great. It sends out a message, hey, did you see Billy just did a new training? If you want, I'll send you a link. Yeah, sure, send me the link, on XYZ. Sends the link the next day. Hey, did you watch the training? You want to book a call with our sales team? Like, the AI does all that stuff. But maybe you're familiar with that. Maybe you tried it and it didn't work. That's not what we're talking about. This is not chatbots. Maybe you've tried AI, just different things, and it just didn't work. A lot of you right now are probably thinking, okay, well, what about security? What about data? Like, are these things safe? I don't want to give it access to my banking information and then it run crazy. One thing that, Sean, you actually may already know this, the banking industry uses more AI. They were one of the first adapters on all this. They're using more than anybody else in the economy right now. Like, the banking industry is doing a bunch of stuff with this. But there is ways to do it safe. Do I have time to learn this? Is this actually going to move the bottom line, on the P&L? And these are all very legitimate questions, and it depends. Because I know people that are playing around with AI and they're so excited, and the stuff they post it's like cute, but it's not moving the needle. I want to get things done. I want to do things that are going to matter. So why should you listen to me? Some of you guys may know Myron Golden. I was in his mastermind for a long time. I've worked with over 2,000 small businesses, helped them generate over $450 million in revenue, written, I think 6 or 7 different books now. Here's the latest one, is Governing the AI Machine. My favorite book I've written is The Blessed Entrepreneur, which I gave some out to my table the last 8 weeks. But I travel and speak all the time. I speak on marketing, business, a lot of AI stuff. I was actually brought in to consult on the Tim Tebow group on some of their stuff for AI, which is pretty exciting. Wellspring is a big group of a bunch of 7, 8, and 9-figure entrepreneurs. They brought me in to speak on AI. Parker Seminars is just this huge group. They do seminars all over the country in the healthcare space. I just did a big HIPAA compliance and AI talk there. So anyway, like it's not just about marketing and business, it's AI. Like this is the stuff I do. Cairo Candies are business we've had the longest. We've had that for about 11 years. HireZim is the AI, one of the AI businesses that I'm co-founder in. So what is an AI agent? Some of you guys may have heard of Hermes, OpenClaw, Claude Code, which is a little bit different. Claude Code tends to live just on one device. It's a little bit limited, but it's very popular in just enterprise right now. Victor, somebody in the group talked about Victor. Victor's one of the tools we use. It is really, really cool, but it can get pretty expensive. I can show you guys some stuff on that too. Argo is an agent that actually we developed based on Hermes, but there's all these agents that just do different things. It's not don't think of an agent as a tool that you put in your hand. Think of it as a team member that you put tools in their hand. So if AI was a coffee pot, that coffee pot would know, like just AI chat, right? You're just a normal AI coffee pot. It would know every morning at 6:30, it needs to have your coffee ready. So your coffee would be ready every morning. It just knows. If it was an AI agent coffee pot, it's going to have your coffee ready at 6:30, but it's also taking everything in around it. And it's like, hey, I noticed that, Sean, I noticed around 2 o'clock, you look like you can use a coffee. Actually, I went ahead and made you an espresso. It should help you carry you through the rest of the day. And then a couple of days later, if it was an AI agent coffee pot, it's like, look, I've been doing some research and looking at the way that you live your life and how you are with health. I actually developed a brand new espresso drink. I want you to try. I think it'll do the best, carrying you through this last half, but I'm not keeping you up at night, whatever. Like it's making changes to improve because it's taking everything in around it. So that's some of the things that's different about like an agent compared to just like an AI chat. So an AI chat, a great way to think about chat is like ping pong. And this is where most of us end when it comes to AI. You ask, it's a glorified Google, right? You're asking it something, it's giving you something in response. Good ideas for drafts, helping with emails, all this stuff is great, but it's very, very, very surface level. That's like calling my Mercedes a cup holder. I mean, it's got a cup holder, right? I can put my cup in it, but it's so much more than a cup holder. And that's how we want to look at AI. An agent, you actually assign it a goal. You're not just talking to it. You give it a task, and it operates in loops. Go out and accomplish something. So an agent system, for a system to work, I don't want to get too in the weeds here. It has to have an agent, what's known as a harness. So you have the model. This would be Fable 5, Opus 4.8, the new GPT 5.6, or any of those, Kimi 2.6 or Kimi K 2.6. There's all these different models, right? That's the brain. And then it operates in a loop. Now, in the upper corner here, this is what a loop is. A loop is, it observes what you ask it to do, it thinks about it, kind of puts together a plan, and then it acts. Then it observes the outcome to see if it matches what you ask it to do, and it thinks about it, and then it acts. It'll act again, and it does this loop until it thinks and feels, okay, this is the outcome that they wanted. So that's what a loop is. You give it tools. What are tools? Think about this just like you would hire an employee. If you hire an employee, let's say that they're remote, so they're not, or even if they were in office, I guess it really doesn't matter. You're going to give them maybe like a personal assistant. You may want to give them access to your Google account, like your Gmail or your calendar or your Asana, your Airtable, all these different online tools that you need, your WordPress for your website, all these different things. There's literally thousands of tools that you can give an agent access to. And then skills. Skills is actually a set of almost like SOPs. Let's say that Sarah went to work for Sean, and he's like, hey, Sarah, this is how we handle onboarding a new client. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. So that would be like a skill, teaching an agent, this is how we do this. But what's good about an agent is it's going to look at that skill and it's going to get better. It's going to help self-improve. It's like, you know what, this is the way we're doing it, but if this is the outcome we want, Hermes is really good at that, that particular agent. It's good at creating its own skills and self-improving those skills. And then you have the harness, which is really just the body that all this stuff works in. So with an agent, you assign it, what you see over here, you assign it a task and you give it context, and then it has an outcome. Now, context is so important. Let's say that you hired a new CMO, right? A new marketing director. They've been with your company for 2 days. You're like, oh, by the way, I need you to present a marketing plan for us tomorrow at noon. Could it do a decent job? It would do a decent job because it knows marketing, like that's what it knows. But it doesn't know your business yet. It's only been with you for a couple of days. But what if that person had been with you for 5 years, and now it's preparing a marketing presentation or a brief or plan or whatever? It's going to do such a better job because it has more context. So when you start working with these agents, you want to give it as much context as you can. One of the things that we do at Cairo Candy, we're like, okay, we want our agent to have as much context about the business as we can. So we've given it all of our SOPs. It knows who our ICP is, our ideal client profile. It knows what's worked for us best in the past in marketing, our best months, our best years, our worst webinars and trainings we've done. Like it has all that context, but also every single one of our sales calls are recorded and it goes into our company brain. Every one of our onboarding calls are recorded, goes into the company brain. Every one of our kickoff calls, every one of our client success calls goes into the company brain. We're now setting up, the one thing we were missing is emails, because all of our clients were emailing, hundreds of accounts, emailing individual reps. How do we get that information in the company brain? So we're working on, we've actually got a solve for that we're doing now. So we're going to have every single bit of communication in that company brain. It has access to our Google Drive. It sees all the agreements people have signed. It knows what services we're supposed to be providing for everybody. It has access to our Slack channel. So I can hop in and say, hey, I've got a call with MD later today. What do I need to know about his account? It's going to meeting prep for me. It has all the context. So that's so important. So many people, they're like, oh, I'm going to try out this new AI tool. Go do this. And it doesn't do a great job, normally because it's lacking the context. So you know what, let's do this. I need a volunteer. I need somebody, ideally a business owner, that would be willing for us to let an agent do an audit on the website and put together a marketing plan. Anybody want to volunteer?
Are you talking about you need a website?
I just need, somebody that's willing to say, hey, you know what? Audit my website and put together a marketing plan for me. Anybody want to volunteer?
You can use Level Up and Live.
Yeah, or you can use mine.
I want to skip that. Let's do Micah's.
Okay.
Micah's,
Well,
I'll show you why in a minute, but Micah, what's your website?
rpsride.com.
RPS?
Yes.
Ride.com. Okay. I'm going to, let me share my screen. Oh, I think I may have hit the wrong thing. Okay, I have a prompt here, and I can give you guys this prompt if you want. But I'm going to take this prompt, and I am going to give it to my agent. And it basically just says, you're a direct response marketing strategist, auditing a business live in front of an audience. Fetch and analyze this website, first impressions, one brutal, honest sentence. Anyway, it's doing all this, and it's gonna cook in the background while I kind of go through and finish up some of this. Let me make sure I see it typing, so it's thinking. All right, great. So we will come back to this in just a second. Let me share my. Okay, so we talked about kind of what an agent system is. It's different than just AI chat. You give it context, you give it tools, it has memory, it has skills, it has an environment to work in, and then it'll go out and actually accomplish some things. So where an agent can work in your business, this is where a lot of people kind of get overwhelmed. It's like, well, okay, even if I want to do something with this, what do I do? We like to kind of break businesses down into buckets. And most businesses have very similar buckets, but there's going to be a little bit of difference here, here and there. So let's say most everybody has sales and marketing. I don't know what happened to my slides there. Sales and marketing. It's because I had an AI agent do this. So that's one bucket. Then you have onboarding and administrative task. Then you have fulfillment, and then you have retention. So we like to say, just pick one of these buckets, and then let's kind of give it an agent and see what an agent can do with this. So start slow with an agent. You can, before I go here, I want to talk about this. We were talking about Victor, and Victor's great. I forget who posted in the group about Victor.
Jared Craig.
Yes, that is who it was. It's fantastic. So we had Victor do we set it up with our Slack, and we had it audit the last 30 days of our Facebook campaign for Pyro Candy. And it broke down, we had spent roughly $3,000 in what campaigns, like we were comparing, some of the campaigns were being sponsored from Billy Sticker, some were being sponsored from the Pyro Candy page, same ads, but different pages. Like, let's see which one outperforms. The Billy Sticker page was outperforming by like 20-something%. That's very, very valuable information. So it runs this full audit. Which was great. It was such good insight, really going to help us dial in and get more output out from our ads. But using Victor to run that cost $40 in tokens. We have several hundred accounts. I'm not going to run that once or twice a month on all my accounts. I'm just not. So I took the output and gave it to my agent and said, hey, this is what Victor did inside of Slack. I want to build a web app where we can do this just whenever we want, still have the team have access to it. Is that going to be possible? It's like, absolutely, this is all I need. I had to give it access to a couple of different tools, and it built this dashboard out. They can still do it inside Slack. They can still say, hey, I need to run an audit on this ad account. It'll still run it in Slack, but there's also a dashboard where it shows the graphs and stuff also. It costs 3 to 5 cents to run that audit now instead of $40 using Victor. So what we're using Victor for is just finding out like what are some useful use cases, and then we're having our agent build out those tools at a fraction of the cost. So if you're like, okay, what are some other things that we can do? You know what? I'm going to see here. I'm just looking to see what this did. So the reason I said I didn't want to do level up and live, yesterday I had it do Level Up and Live. All I did, the prompt I gave it was build a website for business leaders in, I may have said Montgomery County, I may just in a local area. This is the name of the mastermind. It's all about accountability. The colors are black and orange. And I said, just wow me. I sent the prompt at 11:47. At 11:50, it gave me this. Now, it still needs to be updated with images. It needs to be customized. But this is a one-page website that it did in 3 minutes.
Wow.
Which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Something else I had to do, I used Faust Landscape. I said, I want you to run an audit on this business and the top 3 or 4 competitors and spit everything out in here. Now, I know Michael's not on here, but I'm going to give him access to this. Clear ground to win. So it audited his website, 4 local competitors. It found that he's using a one-page Wix website. Primary goals, free estimates, phone leads, Montgomery, Conroe, the Woodlands. The date I ran this was the 14th. Executive verdict. Faust has a real local offer, next door strength, but loses online proof, page depth, CTA clarity. But it puts together this game plan on what he can do immediately to get better. It looked at his competition. What's his competition doing really well? And like he recommended hero rewrite. This is the very first part of the website that people see. These are changes that it thinks it should make, that he should make. It looked at some of the competition and what they're doing well. And one of the things is like this competitor, the Green Tree, they have city and service pages, which if you know anything about SEO, this is very, very important. If you service Conroe, the Woodlands, Magnolia, Montgomery, you need to have service pages for all your cities with your services that you offer in the city. He just has a one-page site. So this page is doing better because it has all these city and service pages, which is one of the things that he said he can do too. So anyway, this is a full breakdown. This took about 5 to 10 minutes to run. What if you did an audit on all your competition? You can even audit their Facebook ads. What if once a week or every other week or once a month, whatever, you got a report, you set up what would be called a cron job. It runs an audit on all your competitors and lets you know what they're doing, what updates have been made to their website, what they're doing on their ads. Like, would that be valuable for you? Absolutely. Like, that would be huge. This is just one small thing. So these were just 2 things I did just in case this, for some reason, the live demo didn't work. Let me go back here. We'll try to share it again. Let's see where this is going. We'll share the entire screen. Okay. So for some reason right now, it's not letting me do actually, yes, you do.
Gosh, Mike.
Let's see what it came up with.
Broke the
Broke
system.
it.
Oh no! Sometimes you just have to. It's like an employee saying, "Hey, I don't think I've done that before." You're like, "Yeah, you have. you can go for it."
Needs a little bit of empowerment.
So the biggest conversion killers. Let's just say, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this. I can't really make it much bigger. Biggest conversion killers. I'll get this on a document that you'll be able to go through and take a look at. Lack of clear entry point. Prospects land here and aren't immediately told how to start. Is it a program coach? Well, people, if they go there, they know it's not coaching or whatever. Price obscurity. Well, you probably kind of want some of this, but it audits this. This is what was supposed to go on a page. Let's see if it pushed it through.
What is this for, Billy? Is this for Level Up and Live?
This was an audit. No, this was an audit on Micah's site.
Oh.
So
He thought there was a coaching site?
it said, see, look, let me show you this real quick. At 11:47, this one I did the Level Up and Live. Build a modern website with animation, movement, lots of wow. I don't even know, lots of wow factor. That was 11:47. at 11:50, it gave me the site.
Mm.
So it actually built the site, but it's not pushing it to for sale right now because we're live.
Yes, you do.
But you kind of get the point.
Try harder.
Sometimes that works, believe it or not. Sometimes that works. So let's just pull this back up. So one of the things where we say start slow is if you were to set up your own agent, don't try to do everything all at once. Like just start with a couple of things and get used to using it. We like saying, think about an agent being like an apprentice. It comes in at first, it's got to get to know you. It's going to get to know what you like, what you don't like, what the goals are for the company, all these different things. One of the things mine does is it does a morning brief. Every morning, it even knows when I'm traveling. It'll give me the forecast for where I'm at for the day. Hey, here's the weather forecast. It looks at both my calendars. I have one for Cairo Candy and then another one for the other business. It lets me know what meetings I have that day. It can even do meeting preps. You can just give it, hey, this is somebody I have a call with later today. This is their email. It'll search LinkedIn. It searches the web, and it'll give you, what it thinks you need to know about that person to prep for a meeting. So just normal things like that. Sales intelligence, being able to do what we talked about as far as like doing audits on competitors. You can have it audit. You can actually have this build your own campaigns, which is a little scary. You give it access to Meta's API and Google's API, as long as you have images and videos, whatever the creative you're using, you give it the parameters, it's going to go out. It will actually build out all the campaigns. And as a marketing agency, I mean, we have a pretty big marketing agency. This is a little scary. And so my thought is, okay, I need help seeing around corners here. Are local businesses still going to need us to run their ads? Well, you know what? Right now, they could go do their own Facebook ads. Most of them don't want to. They don't have the time. So I'm hoping that that's going to be the case for a little bit longer. But Facebook's making it easier. Google still isn't making it really easy. But you can use Claude Code. You can use these agents to, when you give them access to the right tools, it can go out and do a lot of this stuff now. Obviously, a lot of people are already using it for content and knowledge. What to avoid? You don't want to automate a broken system. Sometimes we want to discourage, just because you can implement AI somewhere doesn't mean you need to. If that's not ideally the best process that you have, don't just put AI on it. Have it audit what you're doing and see if there's a better way. Like, hey, this is what we're doing now. What holes am I not seeing? Right? Help me see everything better. Also, guardrails. In our book, the Governing the AI Machine, we talk about a framework we call it the GAME framework, which is setting up guardrails. Guardrails can be very basic. On our team, we have several people that have access to different AI tools. Well, these guardrails monitor how much they can spend. Like if they're hitting too much on their spend, you know what? I don't mind them spending a lot, as long as they're using it, it's benefiting the company, right? And seeing who's spending the most actually is a trigger for me to monitor to see what they're building, right? Is this something that's actually being used? So I don't mind them spending stuff on it, but I also don't want it to go crazy, right? But the GAME framework is guardrails, authority, like who is actually, or accountability, who's actually accountable for AI in your company, who's monitoring it. That's the M, is monitoring, setting things up where you can see what tools are being used, what's not being used. You can set things up. So if you're in, like for HIPAA, now this isn't necessarily a HIPAA compliant tool right now. You can make it that way, but there's a lot of things you have to do to do that. But there's some guardrails in there. It's something called ZDR. zero data retention. You can set up these filters to where if somebody goes to give a prompt to an agent or give a task to an agent, if it looks like there's any personal identifying information, names, phone numbers, social security numbers, account numbers, it'll actually filter that out before it goes off to the model and leaves your environment. So having monitoring and stuff set up, and then E is enablement. It's one thing to have tools for your team to use, but enabling them, equipping them, teaching them to be able to use the tools effectively is something else that you want to do. So morning brief, which is one of the things I talked about. I think it's good to start with that. Meeting prep is another good one we just mentioned. An inbox triage. Now, I would recommend when you first start using it, you can limit what access you give it. Like you can give an agent read, write access. Like it can go in and write stuff and can delete stuff. Well, I don't want that. I just want it to go in and read my emails. And I want it to notify me if there's certain emails that it thinks. It does inbox sweeps for me. I think it's like once an hour. And anything that it feels needs my attention, I get a notification on it. So if I need to go in and respond to it, it'll help organize it, put things in certain folders, things like that. Evening closeout, there's all kinds of stuff. We actually have a tool that you guys can get. There's no opt-in, it's totally free. If you go to hireargo.ai/get the playbook, it's a PDF, and I think there's almost 70 different, almost like prompts that you'd be able to give an agent to do all kinds of things. hireargo.ai/get playbook. And we can put this in the show notes. We can post it in the group and stuff also. Some really cool things that you can do with it, not just business stuff. Ours is connected to all of our home automation equipment, like our pull equipment, our doors. So we have 2 garage doors, and then our front doors and stuff are all connected to the internet. Well, my daughter and son-in-law were coming over in the evenings, and they'd leave at 9 o'clock through the garage, and then the garage door would stay up all night. Well, nobody wants that. So I set up an automation that every night it runs automatically, and it makes sure all the doors are locked and the garage door's down. It'll, from my phone, which there's already an app for my pull equipment anyway, but we had friends coming over one time when I first got this set up, and this was earlier in the spring, so it was still cool. We turned our pull temp on, I think set it to 85 or whatever. I was like, you know what, will you let me know when it's 82 degrees? I said, no problem. And like ever so often, it was just checking the pull temp, and it sent me a message, hey, it's 82 degrees now, time to jump in, which I wasn't wanting to jump in yet, but it's cool. There's even stuff that you can do with home automations, a lot of stuff that's connected to the internet you can use for that. But I've rambled an awful lot. Let's take some questions.
What would be one action step that you would recommend for us to implement moving forward? So that was a fire hose of information today.
It was a bunch.
Took a lot of good notes. What would be that one action step and I know every industry, business owner, leader may be different, but any one piece of advice on that one step we could take right after this call so we don't sweep it under the rug and just take it as information, but actually do something with it?
Well, I think you need to know this. Everyone will have an AI agent very soon. Not just business owners, everybody. Just like years ago, Bill Gates said every house will one day have a personal computer. And then that turned into everybody has a computer. Now we all have computers we carry in our pockets, right? When I was growing up, everybody had phones in their homes. But if your friends were wealthy, they had a phone line for the teenagers. And now nobody has phone lines because now there's a phone per person, not per house, right? You're going to see everybody having their own agent. It's going to know you. It's going to know, like I set one up for my wife, and we were driving yesterday here, and we were driving and the weather was really bad, and there was some stuff I needed to do. Well, I didn't have her get on my agent. She was already talking with hers. And I said, hey, ask it if this would be possible or whatever. And he gave it a long a long explanation. And then she said, well, that was for Billy. And it's like, oh, okay, I was wondering, because normally you don't talk like this. Okay, if it's for Billy, then this is all he needs to know, because it knows her.
Yeah.
And you're going to have one that knows you. And you know what? If you wait on this, that's fine. Your competition's probably not going to wait on it. Right?
Yeah.
I want to help you see around corners. This is one of the things that you need to figure out. How do I get something like this set up? And this is something you can do on your own. You can get online and figure out, how to set up a Hermes agent or OpenClaw, or even just using Claude Code. And some of these things now could be beneficial. Just, there used to be a Codex app. Now it's just the ChatGPT app, but they have some agentic things in there now where you can give it access to a bunch of tools, and you can have it audit your website. You can have it audit your campaigns. You can have it do competitive research for you, things like that. But I would look at that playbook, download that playbook. There's a section, we said, start here. These are like a handful of tasks that are very easy to do with an agent. Get those set up and just start playing around with it. The more and more you use it, it's just like anything. Growing up, my daughter played competitive volleyball. She played club ball. We traveled and stuff. But one of the first teams she was on when she was in 7th grade, she was the only 7th grader. Everybody else is in 8th grade. I don't know if y'all remember that age, but she was so intimidated. I was like, babe, look, none of those girls were born knowing how to receive and set. Like they all had to learn.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing. Like nobody knows how to do this.
Yeah.
You just have to learn, right? And so start small. I would look at that playbook, get some ideas and think, okay, how could I use this? But a great way is just to get it, start talking with it. Hey, this is the business. This is what we do. This is how we get clients. How can I go get more clients? This is our ideal client. And just start talking with it, and it'll help you. They're designed to help you think and help you see around corners. Now, remember what we started off at the very beginning. Could someone step in your business and run it better than you? You want that agent to be somebody that knows your business better than you, to help you see around those corners, to help you see opportunities that you're missing.
Sarah had a question.
Hey, Billy, I'm just kind of curious about the logistical side of this. So if you've got your employees, everybody's got an AI agent. Do you suggest that we use kind of a company-wide AI agent, or should we individually have our own accounts so that we don't start blending our personal? I mean, my business sector is a little bit unique. We're a political subdivision, so anything we do is subject to Public Information Act. So we have to be very careful not to ask, AI to work on my fairy lights at home, turning those on at the same time, and then start talking about groundwater policy. And
it's a great question. I think everybody needs one for themselves, and maybe another one for like a key player on your team. One of the things we're doing at Cairo Candy is a couple of my key leaders have their own. And then we also have, we have some set up in Slack, which we're using Victor also, but we have some other ones that we're using that are cheaper. This one just knows Facebook ads. So this is an agent that's specific. It's not like a personal AI agent that knows me. It knows Cairo Candy. It has access to that company brain, and it knows Facebook ads. All of our clients' ads, all of our clients' Google ads, like there's another one for that. There's another one for SEO. So we have individual agents for different things in the business. But for kind of what I'm talking about more for business leaders, you need one that's just going to know you. Know your personal life, know your business life, give it access to what you want to, almost like a personal assistant.
MD?
Billy, the gap that I'm seeing happening with business owners is, and I see this question a lot, is they're not tech. And so when they try to onboard an agentic system, they're having a real stopgap because they were sold on the idea that it was just going to be a plug and play and it was going to be intuitive. They just kind of plug in their business and then they leave it alone and the agent automatically knows what to do. As I've worked in a lot of these agent tools, you have to understand what it is in the scope that you're directing the agent, or at least kind of coordinating it, or else I'm just seeing a lot of inconsistencies in accuracy. So for a business owner who doesn't understand tech, doesn't even understand SEO, and they want to use these agentic tools in any capacity of their business, it seems like a very steep learning curve that if it doesn't work as intuitively as they would think, they're kind of like, I don't have time for this. So how do you really recommend a business or a business owner? Is this a role that needs to be created to an agentic coordinator that has a depth of understanding with how to know which agents to get, and then how to implement them and how to coordinate and manage them? Or is this kind of what you're saying, where a business owner kind of needs to just take the leap and understand them to know how to execute them? Because I'm seeing a real gap in the ability to, I hear what I'm being told agents can do, but then I don't know what to tell it to do. Therefore, the agent looks like I thought it was gonna be intuitive. And then when it is working, the token usage starts to get off the rails.
Yeah, you definitely want to be careful on token usage. To speak to that real quick, we use OpenRouter. And one of the things I love about OpenRouter is OpenRouter real quick is an API that gives you access to over 400 models from all the frontier labs, and then even the cheaper ones. But it'll automatically route to whatever model is most effective and most cost effective for that task, which is great, because you don't want to use Fable 5 for something that, you don't want to use an A player on your team to do a C-level task. You're wasting. So it's kind of the same thing with tokens. But this is a great point. I think people are you kind of have to jump in and just start playing with it. That's why we say start small. It's not going away. It's, you're going to either learn this now, or in 2 or 3 years, you're going to learn it. You will have one. You will eventually have one. Now, is it going to get easier to use? There's a very good chance it will eventually get easier. But once you just start using it and figuring out what it's good for and what it's really good at, you're going to be more comfortable, and you can have it give you ideas. I seem like I'm high tech, but I'm really not. I don't know much about coding. And so sometimes it'll tell me something, assuming I know what it's talking about. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm new here. Act like I'm a 5th grader.
Yeah.
And it'll just tell me, okay, here, as a 5th grader, this is what you need to do. But I think for a business, what we like to see is one setup for the founder, for the leader to learn, and it's kind of known on its own. If you have a company brain set up for your company, your agent can have access to it, but then you can also give another agent access to it. And then you get somebody else on your team that has one that's more company specific. You still have yours, but then you have one that can help do stuff in the business. Because as a business owner, we don't need to be stuck in fulfillment. We need to be stuck in imagination, like communication. We need to be doing the high level things. And whenever we're out knocking on doors, selling policies, not that there's anything wrong, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's some things that are more valuable for your time. Spending too much time just learning all this stuff isn't a good use of your time.
Yeah.
But we're just in this season. You need to jump in and learn some of it. There's some great podcasts out there that there's a guy named Matt Wolf. He does a 30-minute podcast every Friday on AI news. And it's just the cool tools that came out this week. That's a really good one to listen to. There's another one I listen to that's pretty high level. It's called Moonshots by Peter Diamandis. It's more AI, robots. Elon's been on there several times. What the economy is going to look like in the next 5 years, what's happening with longevity. They talk about, hey, if you just don't die doing something stupid the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to live to be 120. Because with AI, the breakthroughs we're going to see in the next 5 years are going to outpace what we've seen in the past 200. Like, we're going to see major, major things happening with folding of proteins and all the new peptides. Like, there's some major things happening for health and longevity, which are just amazing. So like there's some podcasts like that. They're just good, good to listen to. But the more you start learning some of this stuff, you just have to jump in.
Yeah, I can speak on that. I hired a guy to do a bot for just our company. We called it Buildy, and that's all it does. It just does mundane tasks. Like if I'm walking a property, I take pictures and say, "Hey, put this into project, build me a project, start the budget, do all that stuff." And then I just actually before this call, I was on a call with the guy building it. Said, "Now build me a personal bot to do everything for a CEO, founder of a company, so that I can tell it to read my emails, give me a follow-up list of what I need to do, all that kind of stuff, and just like be the executive assistant for me that knows the insides and outs of my business, right?" And then now he's creating a bot to update our website, build our website, do all that kind of stuff, and then eventually run marketing or feed our marketing team all the information, all the pushing of the videos and photos and scopes of work so they have a relevant, so it doesn't have my project managers doing the things that they're not good at, right? Or don't want to do. Just like, hey, keep updating your job. Let this bot pull all the information, send it to the marketing agency or whoever's going to be doing marketing, and then push it as hard as they can without human interaction, right? Of like me approving it or whatever to a certain extent. And then we're going to do our financials, tie all the financials to it. Like you're simply on a job, you take a picture, here's a receipt for this deal. It puts it in the right line item, tags it, does all of it, right? So it just takes more of the executive work or admin work, I guess you'd say, for our project managers to do so they can actually run a project and win the next project.
That's great. And we all know Kirk. When you look at Kirk, do you think that guy knows tech? No offense, but I'm like, that guy knows how to curl. You're right. Like,
I don't even know if it's Kirk because I haven't seen his face, Billy. I don't know if it's an AI agent being a voiceover right now.
I'm actually at the gym right now talking to y'all.
Of course.
Well, this was great, Billy. We really appreciate you, man. Fire hose worth of stuff, but it's definitely worth echoing and being repeated. I liked what you said earlier. It's if you're not a pilgrim or an early adapter, then your competitors will be. And that's how you end up getting left behind. So you either learn it yourself or hire or have somebody on your team that's smart enough to know this. And yeah, that could be really dangerous, a dangerous force.
Yep.
Appreciate you, man.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate Any other questions? I got a couple of minutes. If not, I'll see you guys Friday.
I'm good, man. I appreciate it. This was awesome.
Yeah, thanks,
Sure.
Billy.
All right.
Yep.
Awesome. See you guys.
See ya.
All right. See ya.
Later, y'all.